Welcome back to the battles and Pokemon Colosseum. Hey, I'm DeoGenZ, and we've made it to the Battler 6. You know, I mentioned on the last episode that to purify Pokemon, I watch anime, specifically Yu Yu Hakusho, and it's very Yu Yu Hakusho-esque, at least when they enter the dark tournaments, if you guys know that anime well, to Mount Battle. Very similar. Charge your way through, get to the top, take on those who are the toughest. Except the only difference is there's no real competitors versing your way to the top. It's just an all-out thrall. Thrall. That's a thrashing brawl. Haha, so you learned a new word today, people. Use it in everyday language and it will become a term. It's not enthralled. You got thralled. Kadabra. He got so thralled, he was throwing his spoons back. He's like, give up magic. I was never a good psychic anyway. I can't bend these spoons. Poor Kadabra. If only he knew he just had to be traded from that dreaded trainer who's trying to make him do tricks on the side instead of be a battler. I love the super speed in this because the guy looks ridiculous when he's going when he's fast breathing and his shoulders are slouched. He looks like he's, I don't know, having some kind of seizure or an episode on the field. Furret just looks like it's ready to dance. Techno Furret. Oh man, speaking about Techno Furrets, people, look up Techno Kitty. I don't know if it's anywhere else besides the Xbox Live Arcade, but it's probably on Steam, if I had to guess, because it is an indie game. And it's just like the classic helicopter game where you have to keep tapping one button or hold a button for acceleration, upwards movement, or take your hand off the button. This way the helicopter can descend. And all the while you're in this little narrow passageway trying to dodge obstacles. Except that same game concept applied to crazy Spyro amazing graphics that if you're Japanese you want to stay away. That's all I can recommend, because if you were affected by the Porygon seizure epidemic, this will definitely most induce it. It's instead of the helicopter, a cat. There's many different cats to choose from if you unlock them, which of course you have to go through the maze of techno colors. And there's rainbows everywhere and unicorns in the background. It's amazing. And stars and it never ends. It never ends. Because the helicopter game, that whole concept was see how good you could keep your focus and dodge and gain more high score as you go through the level. The level gets progressively harder, the passageways get more narrow, and there's more obstacles in the way, and in the case of Techno Kitty, all the colors go very crazy on the drop of the song. Now, it's not really a drop, because Techno doesn't have a drop, but when it gets into the big bass and percussion session, that's when things go crazy with the colors. Now that I said it, I hope it gets made. Dubstep Kitty! I mean, if there's Techno Kitty, there's gotta be Dubstep Kitty. It's an evolution. It's like Techno Kitty evolved. Your Techno Cat evolved into Dubstep Cat. So you can go on a new pathway. I mean, if anybody's seen my Lilt Line Let's Play, that's tons of synesthesia. I mean, a lot of people don't even know what dubstep is. I was surprised to see a comment on one of those Lilt Line videos. What's a dubstep? You can probably have Bass Nectar explain it to you. I think he's got a good video that explains it in 3 minutes, or just listen to it. But just like techno, there is good and bad bass in the dubstep world. Now, while this looks like a pretty cool canyon to place your battles over, things get more heated as you go past the original 10 slots that they have us travel over. Yes, continuing down the path of floating islands will lead you into Vlad Z's worst nightmare. Lava. So, be mindful of that. Not something that's going to affect any of your matches, of course, but it's a nice aesthetic effect. Very epic in the 3D Colosseum world, as battles are still brilliant, even with the two most plain bleh characters in the game. And no offense to Geodude, I love Golem. You gotta get a Geodude first to get there. But it's very overplayed. At least, jeez. It's like, oh yeah, you think I'm overplayed? Well, I'm gonna explode. I like that. I don't like it either. Yeah, I didn't think you would. That's what explosion self-destruct will do to you, Geodude. But I was just saying, in the main games, you see Geodude too much. Wow, that was an awesome spike ball animation. Sorry, Sandslash. I can't let you do it again. Why did I have 2 Geodudes? Why did I have such a typical boring Pokemon strategy?
Well, fine. After all the persuading I did, you still won't hand it over. This is what happens to stubborn oafs who don't do as I say. You treacherous swine, how could you refuse battle? Treacherous? You didn't really think that a worm like you could win? All you had to do is hand over the time flute. What with the making a fuss, this is your own fault, getting hurt. Since you're not cooperating, I don't have any other choice but to haul you off to Ian's lab. Huh? Who are you? What were you doing with my underlings? That outfit of yours. You must be troublemaker who messed with scrubs in Celebi's forest. And now you've come to mess with me. Great Dakim, don't make me laugh. I'll pound lesson into your flesh and bones so you'll never even think of bothering me again.
The burly, boiling red Mad Dakim makes his stand. Well, I saw plenty of comments saying last time that Mirror B was not a fitting first boss, or maybe I thought he was because he was a bit of a clown, so it was a gentle introduction into Colosseum. But if this guy doesn't give you the creeps or scare you even in the least bit, you're not human. Because he's got a tough team. Mirror B was a good sufficient first boss for introducing people into the mechanics of double battling and working together with your team members to launch maximum damage. But Dakim, he takes it to a new level. He diversifies his team, not making it comprised of one poke like Mirror B with all the Ludicolo and the exception of one Shadow Sudowoodo, which we got a hold of. But he mixes it up between multiple resistances and Pokemon that have Protect on each of their side equipped with Earthquake, so that they can take turns using Protect and Earthquaking when the other one is in Protect mode. So you'll have to be very aware of who protects first. Hopefully you get lucky like I did there, and Metang left itself wide open for attack. But on other times, more attempts that I've had to reset through this guy because his Shadow Poke would not stay in the goddamn ball. Yeah, you're of course going to want to save before you reach this boss. That's important. The good thing that I don't know if you didn't notice, because I cut all those Pokemon trips out, Pokemon Center trips that is that you can go back at any point while battling the first 10 trainers. Go ahead and save, heal up, whatever you need to do. Just make sure you've got your top tier team equipped. As you notice, the borders changed. It went from the Shadow Pokes we used for the underlings to all my purified top team. I don't know if Quagsire is going to remain, but he can help us out for sure in this match. You know what? Let's go with a little more defense. That was a risky move, though. That was a risky move because if the accuracy was off, I would have been screwed. Fail! Yeah. Oh, critical hit. Not what I expected. And speed is not an issue here. Now, I'm doing this because I want Quagsire to have staying power. Just because Marshtomp here doesn't have Earthquake on his side, Golem still does, and other Pokemon on Dakim's team do. This is a perfect example of how to launch hard-hitting moves that hit the entire field without damaging your side. Now, I believe that using Surf does not affect your side of the game, but in the newer black and white generations and the sequels, and I don't know if this is true for the first, it would hurt your team member if you did that in a double battle. Here it doesn't matter, this is the 3rd gen, so that's all we really need to focus on, but just a tip for those trying to apply what they learned here in their current gen games. That actually will hurt your team member, so you'll want to make sure either they have Water Absorb as an ability, or they protect themselves, or at least have a resistance to a water-type move. Earthquake in this case, as in all cases of double battles, hits everyone. So if you want to use not double battling effectively, if you want to do double battling effectively with Earthquake, make sure you've got a flying Pokemon as the second member on the field. Because if you've got something like a Golem, or, oh I don't know, maybe a Camerupt? Let's see if he sends that out. Yep, he does. Runner-up next up, Camerupt! And this guy has Earthquake, and he can be quite a troublesome tank if you don't have Earthquake on your own team or a powerful water-type move like Quagsire with the Sweeping Surf. Always the most dangerous poke I put to sleep. That's why I love Jumpluff as a supporter, and later on it will play pivotally in getting Sunny Day up for our Quilava there. But for now, it works wonderfully with Quagsire. Marshtomp is taken out in its sleep. Let's see if it can one-hit KO the Camerupt. I doubt it. That thing's pretty bulky. Nope. Alright, if we got a crit, that would have been awesome, but it's fine. It's quite alright. We're up to these Shadow Pokemon. Alright, guys, so again, if you thought Dakim was nothing to be fearing, or nothing to take seriously like Mirror B, because his hair is also goofy and spiked up in a particular way and fashion, that's just to signify that he's different. Yeah. He spikes his hair up like a mad volcano, and he's got the power of a volcano in the form of one of the legendary dogs. So you're going to notice this as a narrative that runs in Colosseum. This was where you could find the 3rd generation legendaries. I'm sorry, the 2nd generation trio legendaries. I had 3 in my mind and I said 3rd gen, but it's truly 2nd gen in Johto, my favorite region. So while you were off trying to find the Regis in Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald by having to decode their hieroglyphs, you could still get a hold of the 2nd gen legendaries without needing to worry about transference, because like I said, there was no such transference device. Bill is brilliant and he can make a time capsule that went back in time, but only to the 1st gen Game Boy Color games, and he never made that crossover into the 3rd gen GBA, sadly. He did better in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I suppose. Actually, there's no real time capsule in that game, is there? No, he just works on the global trade station now, I think. So bring some hyper potions along with you. It's not a shameful thing to do when you're facing one of these bosses, because, okay, yeah, I saved. Wonderful. But if I get knocked out, I'm going to have to go through knocking out all his other members on his team like I did before. And this time, the next time I reset, which I've already done it over 5 times because Entei can't stay in the friggin' Pokeball, yeah, I don't want to go through all those unnecessary steps. If you can draw out the fight as long as possible so you can get a hold of the Shadow Poke, then do it! That's the point of this game! It's the only way we're getting 100%. I don't know if I specified that. The thing that makes this walkthrough different from others is that we are getting every single Pokemon there is to get in this game. I don't normally do that because there's over hundreds and hundreds in the typical RPG to complete the Pokedex. But in this game, it's a nice difference of only 40-some-odd Pokemon to get, plus the bonus gifts. And I'm not just talking Plusle. There are other gifts. In fact, there was a gift you could get with this game if you pre-ordered it, a special bonus Jirachi disc. And I didn't have the bonus Jirachi disc. I came into GameCube almost near the end of its life cycle, moving into Wii. But I had a friend who did get the pre-disc and traded me one of those Jirachis. I think I still have some. So if you guys want a Jirachi, I don't know when we could trade. I don't even know which generation they're in, to be honest. They could still be on the GBA, for all I know. It's a possibility. But, notice, this Entei, still with the Shadow Rush. It's got powerful Charred Broil fire blasting moves. But, it may try to commit suicide, as it has on the multiple attempts I tried to take it out. So this is why I stress, save! You're not just missing out on a Shadow Poke, you're missing out on a legendary Shadow Poke. And yes, we will see Dakim again. So if you do happen to defeat Entei this time, not too terrible. Yumo Gwe Gwe Fai Mi Zao. Yumo Gwe Gwe Fai Mi Zao. But still, imagine the power of Entei in your party. At level 40. That's significantly higher than anyone else we have on our team who was recently purified or is still a Shadow Poke currently. So that could help out tremendously. But for the sake of interest in this walkthrough, and wanting to keep things fresh as good magic, Yumo Gwe Gwe Fai Mi Zao, Yumo Gwe Gwe Fai Mi Zao, Yumo Gwe Gwe Fai Mi Zao, yes! I will not be using any of the legendary dogs. So, yes.
Meddlesome pest.
Even though we claim them and we will purify them as a point of 100% walkthrough, I will not be using them in battle to keep things interesting and my team fresh.
The way you handle this Pokemon, your audacious skill.
Master Dakim!
Scrub, you were hopelessly outclassed against him. You had zero chance of winning. I'm pulling out for now. Go to Ian's lab and help out there.
As you wish, sir.
This isn't over yet. Stronger Pokemon's mating me right now. You better get serious about next training for your Pokemon meeting.
Wow. Like a freaking spider. A jumping spider. He lurches back. And he dropped an F-disc, whatever the fuck that means. Hey, are you okay? That guy was huge. I'm surprised he didn't just hit you over the edge. Ow, that wasn't an experience I'd ever like to have again. Glad you came by. I'm Vander, area leader in Mount Battle here. I'm Chi, and this is DeoGenZ. We're glad to see you. And very quickly, Chi explained everything to Vander, so he's filled in. Thanks for making a short cutscene out of that. Not really a cutscene, but a short dialogue. And for our efforts, we get the Time Flute, which summons Celebi. So sooner than later, we actually get to see how Celebi will influence this game in the next episode. So tune in then, and we will find out how this Time Flute is actually used. That was quite a warning that Dakim gave us, though. We have to be sure we're on our top game for the next encounter of a Shadow Overlord. The Shadow Lord leaders. The Dark Shadow Pokemon Purples with legendary dogs. So I will see you in the next episode.